the Story Grows. I'm Brent Patton. Today we welcome Sainthood Reps bassist Jani Zubkovs to the podcast. Jani also plays bass in Caspian and Incendiary. Sainthood Reps will release their new album, Bliss, next Friday, September 26th, on Smartpunk Records. Jani talks about how he got started as a bass player, why Sainthood signed with Tooth and Nail Records, his departure from the band and the band's eventual reunion, Bliss, and more. It was a lot of fun getting to hang out with Jani and have this conversation, so I hope you enjoy it. Thanks so much for checking out this episode of As the Story Grows. If this is your first time listening, thank you. Welcome. If you're interested, you can find links in our show notes or at asthestorygrows.com for our mailing list, our Discord server, and our Patreon page, where you can support the show financially and get early access to every episode. And if you like what you hear, I would love it if you subscribe to the podcast on your podcast platform of choice. Enjoy today's conversation with Jani Zubkovs from Sainthood Reps. Are you back stateside?
I am. Awesome. I went to Oasis in Ireland, and the day that we were supposed to chat, I was headed up to Belfast to stay with some friends, and it turns out just Wi-Fi is just not great still. It's kind of crazy. It only kind of worked in his living room, which is where everyone else was hanging out. So I was like, I'm not gonna tell people to leave. So I appreciate you being a little flexible there. I was a little embarrassed, but
it's all good. Things happen. I know most of us have forgotten everything about COVID, but it's if one thing that taught me, it's you got to be flexible because shit happens and you can control nothing.
No, you really cannot. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Are you in New York?
I am in New York. I live in the East Village, but I am from Long Island. Yeah. And so I moved into Greenpoint in about 2006, and I've more or less been here since then. Nice.
What was growing up on Long Island like?
Well, the music scene is amazing. And so from a very, very young age, I was going to shows.
Nice.
I had an older cousin who showed me some very early Long Island hardcore bands like Neglect and Warped Weeble Wobbles and even VOD. And I was 13 and I just started going to shows then. And
that's awesome.
I thought I would probably stop at some point, or maybe my parents hoped I would stop at some point, but it's still exactly the same.
Right. I'm I have a show coming up on the weekend, and I'm going and taking photos, and it's it wasn't a phase. I'm 40 years old. It's still life has not changed from the time I was 13.
I know, dude. I just turned 40 also, so I'm right there with you.
Because I know you do photography and art too, did that come kind of alongside music, or was that a later discovery and passion?
It started along the same time, and then I only got really, really, really back into it once I started going on tour. Okay. And you're traveling around, and then there's these really fleeting moments, and what better way than to photograph them? Yeah. So it started as, something that I would do to kind of just remember what I saw or remember what I was experiencing. And then, it got progressively more artsy. But I still make a ton of images when I'm traveling. Yeah. It's still really important to me. The way that I do it has changed. I'm not taking photos of my hungover drummer. Now I'm going out and trying to, experience a place in a sort of different way.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. Are you a bass player by trade, or is that kind of a failed guitarist or the leftover guitarist that leads to bass?
Weirdly kind of in the middle.
Okay.
Because when I was really young, well, again, this is when I was 13.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who was an amazing guitar player. Already he was amazing. He currently tours all over the world and plays in these crazy bands. But he was like, all of our friends play guitar, so you should play bass. And I was like, okay. And then I just went to the store and I just bought the cheapest bass they had, which was, a Fender Squier. Yeah. And then I've been playing bass since then. So It's like, I didn't fail guitar, but it was the failure of anyone else to play bass.
Right. It's like somebody has to pick it up. So
yeah, like it wasn't like I heard a bass when I was a child and I was like, I must do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It kind of started as just like something fun to do with your friends.
Yeah.
And again, here I still am, whatever, many years later, still playing. So I don't even know if I'm even better than then, but it's brought me to some pretty wacky places and allowed me to play with a lot of really interesting bands and people. So
yeah, it's cool. I didn't even realize until doing the research that you were also playing bass in Caspian, and it's like, okay, so I've seen you live a bunch of times over the last 10 years. So
hell yeah.
Like, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so again, I mean, it's funny. I mean, I'm looking at the title of the show, As the Story Grows, and I actually started playing with Caspian because Sainthood did one of our first tours with them.
Nice.
And yeah, we toured together in, I don't know, 2010 or 2011, and when their original bass player passed away, I got the call up. So
yeah, unfortunately,
everything's always connected somehow. Or
well, let's talk about Sainthood. How'd you end up joining the band?
Yeah, so Sainthood, let's see. So in 2009-ish, Derek and Francesco started playing together, started writing some songs, and they ended up recording a couple of songs with some friends of theirs filling in on drums and bass. And so they had these two songs, and they're looking to fill out the rest of the bands. And at the time, Derek was on tour with Brand New. He was the fifth guitar player for Brand New for many, many years. And so he wasn't even around, but I kind of got a call from a very old friend of mine, Brad, who plays drums in Sainthood now. And he had gotten hooked up with them. And then so one thing leads to another, and then I was jamming with them.
Nice.
And so the first couple of years were, basically revolved around whatever Derek was doing, because that was when Brand New was like a very, very full-time,
very popular band.
Very popular band. Yeah. So, the first tour that we went on, which was with Caspian, actually, no, it wasn't with Caspian. Caspian was the second tour. But anyway, the first tour that we went on, when I showed up at the van with my guitar, was when I met Derek.
Nice.
And so we're like, okay, I guess we're going on tour together.
We're in a band now.
Yeah, we're a band now.
Yeah. What were things kind of influencing? I mean, maybe you weren't around when the initial songwriting phase, but what kind of influenced the songwriting back in the day? Especially, I'm thinking about when I first heard Monoculture and how kind of, I don't know, different that was from what was going on. It felt like. Yeah,
it was. I feel like we were on a sort of earlier tip of the Swerve Driver, Jesus Lizard 90, the shoegaze thing was really big for us. And when Monoculture came out, that there was only a handful of bands that kind of had that thing going.
Yeah.
Now it seems like everyone is either influenced by that or trying to make sounds like that. But at the time, it was like us, Daylight, who then became Super Heaven. Balance and Composure had a little bit of that too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we were just interested in these kind of a little more, at the time, again, like a little more out there 90s records.
Yeah.
And so we just did our best to not rip it off, but make it, as interesting as possible for us.
Yeah. What it's funny to talk to so many shoegaze bands now, and they're influenced mostly by like that new gaze, like the Nothings and the Words. And it's like, when I got into shoegaze, there were all the bands that used to exist and nothing.
Yeah,
nothing
exactly.
new. It was just like, that happened and it's over.
Yeah. And who knew that, Super Heaven would have like a song on TikTok, and now they're gigantic, or like, yeah, even like the Nothings and the Words, like these bands are humongous.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is very strange.
It's wild.
It's very strange. It's not like, I know everything is cyclical and like creative stuff, but I did not foresee that happening.
Yeah. What then leads you guys to Tooth and Nail to release Monoculture on Tooth and Nail?
Yeah, so that was very strange. Well, so I mean, we're about the same age, but when we were growing up, there was like bands on Tooth and Nail that were like actually kind of cool and not necessarily like religious bands, right? So they wanted to start putting out like non-religious music again, and they wanted to like have. They'll have their, I'm trying to think of some big Christian band on the label, but like they'd have this band who's playing the worship festivals. Yeah. And then they wanted to have their more like, what is it, secular or non-secular? One of the two.
Secular.
Yeah. So like secular music, they wanted to have like some secular music that would broaden the amount of people that are buying their records. And so an old friend now of ours that became very instrumental to the band and like the kind of vision and the art and everything, Jordan Butcher, he was working for them. He was doing a bunch of art, and he was our AR guy. And he convinced us that it was a very good idea. And so next thing we know, we go to Seattle and we're meeting all of them, and like everyone's super nice and super cool. And they gave us a very nice amount of money to go to the studio with Mike Zappone for 6 or 7 weeks. And honestly, I mean, Monoculture would not be what it is without that, because sonically it's pretty crazy. And having the ability to sit and A/B every single tone you can possibly imagine, like, it's not cheap. And so so they were kind of just like, hey, we want to get back into secular music. Mm-hmm. You can choose to be like, they'd be like, if you want, we can put you in this, Christian record store, Christian bookstore. Like, you'll sell a lot of records, but it probably might not be your thing. And so, we had a good experience with them, but ultimately we kept getting lumped into Christian music. A, and B, it didn't help that we had Sainthood in our name. So then like people are like trying to like read between some sort of lines, and then like, we go on tour with Me Without You because they're like old friends of Brand New and stuff, but like they have these weird Jesus freak fans. So it was strange.
It seemed like they tried throughout the years to like lose that Christian tag, but like being beholden to the CD and the culture they built, like, hurt the bands who wanted to just be on the label. I feel like everyone I talked to been like, the label was cool, but the people who listened to that label kind of made the experience miserable at times. And I think the CD collapse kind of helped the label let go of that expectations, where now it's like, who cares?
And also well, first of all, they ended up selling the label to it's like under Christian Warner Group now, so that's what pops up when Sainthood. When you look for Monoculture, which is crazy. We've actually like tried to get in touch with them over the years to be like, hey, can we, I don't know, get our record back? Can we do this? Like, we had the 10-year anniversary for Monoculture, and we couldn't figure out who we needed to talk to, so we just like made a bootleg cassette tape version of the record. We just used like the original masters that we had from 2010, and we're just like, all right, I guess we'll just do it ourselves, because no one has an answer of who owns our record or who we should talk to.
After Headswell, the band just kind of fizzles. Was it, you joined Caspian and people just have other musical ideas, or was there ever a conversation internally to be like, hey, we need to take a hiatus for X reason?
Well, I quit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I quit. I didn't. I mean, I guess I prefer not to get too deep into it.
Sure. Yeah.
But I ended up leaving the band.
Okay.
And it was it was mostly artistic differences. I didn't love the things that we were working on. So I recorded on Headswell. And then before it came out, I just was like, hey, listen, this is not really working for me anymore. At the time, there were a couple of personal differences too for me. And so it was more or less kind of like, okay, like, do your thing sort of thing. And that's actually when I ended up joining Caspian.
Okay.
Yeah. Cause I became very close with one of the members. And so they kind of knew what was going on, and, it reached some sort of breaking point, and I was just like, I think my time has come here.
Gotcha.
So, and I think they ended up doing maybe like a tour and a half, and then they were kind of just like, all right, we're over this. Yeah. So I don't know if I don't know if I can imagine it was, all me, but I'm sure it didn't help to have some sort of like destabilizing thing in like when you're still trying to grow. So
what leads you all back together to reform Sainthood to a point where you're playing shows? And then I just know out of playing shows, eventually you're like, we need new songs to play.
Yeah, well, you have these like really formative experiences with people, and just because you're not getting along with them at the moment doesn't mean that you're not like enemies or anything like that. And at some point, Brad and Francesco had got in touch, and they were like, hey, like we should try to jam again. This is probably 2017 or 18. So a good amount of time had gone by. It was maybe like 5 or 6 years. And, at certain ages, 5 or 6 years is basically forever. That's not like, now I think of 5 or 6 years and I'm like, that's tomorrow. But, and so, they just wanted to play. Like they had both been trying to play with other people. Francesco had done some other bands, some of which were very sick, but they were just like, maybe had trouble keeping members. And so, you kind of go back to the basics, and, we sat and we chatted and we tried to work some things out. And, we started writing some songs, and the first of which finally ended up on Dull Bliss, which is coming out this year. Yeah. So it ended up being, it was a long process.
Yeah.
And Derek had gone through some personal things and had basically stopped playing guitar, sold all the stuff. So he like moved on to another part of his life, and we eventually convinced him to get back on the saddle.
Nice.
And so, we put out those 3 songs in like 2008. Now I don't even know when I put out my own songs, but 2018 or 2019. And we're just having so much fun. Yeah, when is it?
It doesn't say on the Bandcamp page.
Okay, great.
There you go.
Yeah. And so, we were just having a lot of fun. And the one thing I said is I was like, I'm only doing this if it's going to be fun. Like, as soon as it starts becoming annoying, or we're like fighting about stuff, or like, I don't know, everyone wants to go on tour and this person doesn't, and then they're getting mad, like, then it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so we released those songs, and we've kind of just been like slowly plugging away at demos and ideas, and all that kind of started ramping up post-COVID. Everyone was like really excited and had, cool riffs and stuff. And so we started really hammering stuff down.
Mm-hmm.
And we basically started recording about a year and a half ago, but because all of our schedules are crazy, and because the person that we were recording with has a crazy schedule, basically we only recorded for maybe 12 days, but it was over like 13 or 14 months.
Gotcha.
So it finally was wrapped up earlier this year, and then we're finally able to get a release date and get things in motion.
Yeah. Is it kind of helpful to have that loose schedule where it's just like, this is a fun thing for us to do, and not like, you're in your early 20s trying to make it again? Like,
in theory for me, yes. But I also am like oddly competitive about creative things.
Okay.
And I just, as soon as I start doing something, it's not like I need to like make it my full-time job or anything, but I need it to be like, I need it to be an ass kicker, or else I don't want to do it. Like if we had like just started writing some songs and they were just really, really mid, or just like not that interesting, I would have been like, you know what, I'm good. But unfortunately for me, they ended up being actually sick.
Yeah.
And so even like, I popped on the record the other day and I was like, this is actually good.
Yeah.
So it's nice. It's nice when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. How'd you get connected with Smartpunk for the release?
I actually don't know.
Okay.
We had our like finished demos, and then we started shopping it around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Oh, actually I do know. Yeah. So we had our demos. No, we had the mixes of the songs. Okay. They weren't mastered, but they were like, we had 4 or 5 songs that we were confident enough to show somebody or our friends. And we have some friends in this band, Somerset Thrower, who are also old Long Island friends. Mm-hmm. And their record's also coming out on Smartpunk. So they were like, you should definitely send your record along. Like, this is right up their alley, especially based on what Somerset is doing right now. Which, if you haven't heard the Somerset record, it's amazing.
Good. Yeah.
And so, they just like gave us the guy's contact. And so we were shopping around. We had narrowed it down to 3 or 4 labels that were interested in putting out the record. And Smartpunk ultimately seemed like the best fit. And they understood that, we're not going on tour for 10 months, and we're going to play some shows, and we're going to give you this pretty sick record. And, hopefully that's enough for them.
Yeah.
And, they're an interesting label because they have this whole distribution and store and this other thing that is separate from the label.
Yeah.
And so then they're able to devote some time and energy to bands that they really like.
Yeah.
And so, I feel like they know that we're not going to make them $1 million, but they are fans and they wanted to work with us. So it kind of just worked that way.
That's awesome.
Which nowadays is super rare. it helps obviously that we've been a band for what seems like eternity. So at least people somehow might know either us or friends of friends.
Yeah.
So it kind of just works.
Yeah, and it's a band that's kind of touched various scenes, whether it's Tooth and Nail or No Sleep or Take. I almost said Take Hold. That's not right. Top Shelf. That's the label.
Top Shelf. Yeah.
Like, so those are all very same universe, very different aesthetics, though.
Yeah, totally. But I mean, sonically, it somehow still works.
Yeah.
So we've always been able to play with kind of whoever, hardcore bands, like emo. We've been able to do whatever.
Yeah,
which is awesome. But yeah, I think sonically we dip our toes into enough pools that it kind of just anything can work.
Yeah. Album's called Dull Bliss. Those are kind of the two songs, right? Kind of middle of the record. A B side. I don't know how the vinyl breaks down, but like, what led to that title?
We couldn't really choose between Dull and Bliss.
Okay.
And I was closely collaborating on the album artwork with Jordan Butcher, the person who originally signed us.
Yeah.
And he was like, we should just put them together. You should just be Dull Bliss. And I was like,
nice.
Hit up the rest of the guys and they're like, hell yeah. And so, but it does, I think the record sounds like that too. Like the song, it was the original song was called Dull, and the original song that the song Dull came before the record title. We had a song called Dull.
Okay.
And then we were working with a sample of oh man, who is the guy's name? He was this like guru type guy. What the hell is his name? Not the Be Here Now guy. Oh, maybe it is the Be Here Now guy. I don't know. It was some like weird guru guy from the 60s. And so he was like talking about heaven and bliss and all these things, and whatever your form of those two things are. And then we ended up using this sample of him saying bliss, and it kind of just like repeats in this really weird way. So then that became Bliss. And the story is not that interesting, I'm realizing, as I'm telling you. But we just put these two things together, and it just, for some reason, sometimes it just makes sense,
nice. Yeah.
And I think there is some sort of like, again, sonically, there's these parts of the song that seem very plotting or like, they're like morose in a way, but then there's these like more like uplifting, blissful kind of things that happen too. So for some reason it just kind of worked and stuck. Yeah.
It seems like on this record you kind of fully realize the like shoegaze vision a little more with like it's a very heavy shoegaze record, which I love.
Yeah. That I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. On top of Sainthood and Caspian, you're also playing bass in Incendiary now. How do you get?
I do. Yeah, it's been I've been playing with them for almost 4 years now. Yeah, 3 years now. Three and a half years.
Nice.
Again, they're old friends from Long Island, and Sainthood opened for them like a million years ago. So one or two of the guys are fans of the band, and so. Again, they had some issues with their bass player because apparently there's no bass players out there. It goes back to 1997 where you play bass and no one else does.
Yeah.
And they had asked me to fill in on a tour kind of last minute, and I learned maybe 15 songs in about a month.
Oh, jeez.
And I did a small European tour with them. And I've just been playing with them ever since.
Nice. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And what's interesting about having then the three is that they all are so different.
Yeah.
And they all like kind of fulfill different things that I like about music, you know, like a Caspian song might be 12 minutes long, and that's like 6 Incendiary songs.
Yeah.
So it's like, there's like just so many different ways to approach everything about it, making music, playing music, being on stage, connecting with audience members, and affecting people's lives. You know, I'm lucky that I'm able to hit all those things in so many different ways and so often, you know?
Yeah. Is your, I don't remember, is your rig in Caspian, like, I know everybody's got massive guitar rigs and pedals. Are you keeping it simple to hold it down, or are you also like checking out a big like bass rig for Caspian?
For Caspian, I have to. Yeah, I have to. Unfortunately, it's kind of funny because I'll like set up my Caspian board, which is, it's usually there's something like 8 to 10 pedals on it, depending on what it is. And then it's like, okay, Incendiary show this weekend. I like rip them all down and I just have like 3 pedals. And I'm like, this is great. I don't even have to do anything. Like I barely have to touch these 3 things. They're kind of just on.
Tuner EQ with like some fuzz.
It's just a tuner, a distortion pedal, and a SansAmp. That's really about it. This is like not, you don't need that much nuance. And then Sainthood's like kind of in between because it has like the really pretty parts, but it has the really heavy, like dirty parts. So that one like drops like right in between.
Bliss is out just a month from today, September 26th. What's the plan after the record drops? Are you guys going to try to play some shows, or are you just busy with other bands? Like,
I'm actually surprised that it hasn't been announced yet, but on October 10th, we're playing a record release show at Union Pool in Williamsburg. And so we're going to have Creeks, which is John from Balancing Composure's side project kind of thing that he does with the Super Heaven guys, some of the guys from Super Heaven. We're gonna have this band Night Sports, who is kind of this like local Greenpoint rock band, but it's like all heavy hitters in the music world. Like Vinnie Caruana's in it, Jim Carroll's in it, Chris Todd from Common Sage is in it, and then there's these 2 amazing tattoo artists that are also in the band, so they rule. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a party. And then we're doing Fest in Gainesville, which we haven't played in, I don't know, maybe 10-ish years. So we'll see what the youth of the world is doing down there. And then, I'm not actually sure what else we have coming up. I know that Smartpunk is tentatively going to re-release one or both of the early records, because they're not really available anymore. And we're kind of just taking it as it goes, you know?